Hi guys, sorry. So today's video is going to be the start of the second half of my planned videos. When I say planned videos, after this second half is done, there won't be weekly videos anymore, but the channel isn't going anywhere. When things happen, I'll post. If I feel like sharing something, I'll post. So I won't be going anywhere. And this is still going to be a number of months to get through the second half. And what that second half is, now that you have an introduction to me and an introduction to autism and living with it, this is now going to be not essentially, it's going to be my life story. So it's going to be a series of more or less chronological autobiographical videos. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about work and school. I'll go into a lot of detail with those things, so people can learn how having Asperger's affects those things. And in fact, that's a big reason for doing this at all. Other than wanting people to get to know me and my story, I want people to see Asperger's in action instead of just a list of symptoms, to actually see how it affects you day to day. So telling my story is a good way to do that, I feel. And the last little tidbit, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about my family members. I'll talk in depth about my own story, school, work. I'll talk in depth. I'm an open book. But I decided that I'm going to be very, very vague with my family members if they get mentioned at all. No names, nothing identifying. Early drafts of my notes for these videos had me talking, for example, about my parents' divorce and my mom remarrying. I have now decided I'm not going to get into that because it crosses a line into somebody else's life, into somebody else's story. And other people's lives are not my stories to tell. So for their privacy, because I don't know what people want, all over the internet. So for their privacy, I'm gonna not talk about my family. And I don't think they're losing anything. Everybody has weird family stories. Everybody has family issues. My family is no exception. Maybe a little more extreme in some cases, but other people are far more extreme than mine. So I just not that relevant to me having Asperger's. I've decided won't change what you need to know and what you'll learn, and will respect their privacy. So that's the decision I've come to. And on that note, I'm going to talk a little bit about my baby and toddler years. So I was born March 29th, 1989. I was a normal, healthy baby. I weighed 7 pounds, 9 ounces, which is totally normal. However, I soon developed, and bear in mind this is all coming from my mom. I obviously don't remember being a baby and a toddler, so this is coming from my mom. I developed feeding issues. Namely, I would spit up everything I was fed. And yes, it's typical for babies to spit up a little. Their digestive systems are immature. I was spitting up everything, or almost everything. I obviously getting some nutrition because I was living, but that's just it. I was living. I wasn't thriving. I believe at 6 months old, I weighed 11 pounds. By my first birthday, I was up to 16 pounds, which, if you're familiar with children, even though there's a wide range of normal for weight and height, as well as milestones, there's still ends where it's, too much, too little. And in my case, it was, too much, too little. Sorry. 16 pounds is not a good size for a 1-year-old. And more shockingly, I couldn't hold my head up till around the time of my first birthday. And babies do that very, very young. So that was a big concern. I was almost admitted to the hospital under failure to thrive. And I wish I had been, because years and years later, I was diagnosed with what's called a hiatal hernia, where my esophagus connects to my stomach. And I've had heartburn until I was put on medication. I had heartburn pretty much every day of my life. And I'm convinced this is what was causing the feeding issues as a baby. And I wish I had been hospitalized under failure to thrive, because I believe that they would have investigated, maybe with a camera or what have you. They would have investigated my digestive system, and maybe they would have come to the bottom of it. So I feel like the ball was kind of dropped on that one, but I was walking by 15 months. So I kind of somehow crammed 3 months of development, or sorry, a year of development into 3 months. So somehow I caught up and it just sort of got forgotten about. They didn't investigate until I opted to a few years ago to find out why I always had heartburn. And I should state, I don't know 100% that the hernia caused my issues as a baby, but it fully fits. It really fits. So my toddler years were normaler. I was a normal toddler, size-wise, developmentally. There were no concerns when I was, for a couple years of my life, there were no concerns brought up about my development. I did normal toddler things. A couple anecdotes I have from my mom. One is putting the kitten in the corner. Apparently, I'd been in the corner for something, and then after when I got out, I put the kitten in the corner and called it a bad girl. So that's very, very normal. Something you might not see in more severe autism, that type of imitation. So that means I was observing what was going on around me and experimenting with it, figuring out what it meant, like any other toddler. And another example, funny anecdote from when I was a toddler. I thought my paternal grandfather's name was Labas. Because when we went to his house, we would all say Labas. Labas is the Lithuanian word for hello. We were saying hello. I thought his name was Labas, which again is a very normal toddler thing to do. Yeah, so that's probably about it. There's not a lot to talk about with those early years, because I'm, like I said, going on anecdotes. And the first time someone expressed concern about my development was when I was 3. And it was somebody working with my older brother who's also on the spectrum. And he pointed out that I was spinning in the corner, which he thought was odd. And I'll discuss kindergarten years, daycare, more in the next video. And you'll see more of people pointing things out long before there was a diagnosis. Because nothing ever came of that guy's concerns. So that will be discussed further, but the reason that nothing would have come of it, among other things, is because Asperger's wouldn't have been in the DSM. They wouldn't have had a name for what I was doing anyway. And yeah, you'll see some things my kindergarten teacher pointed out. In the next video, we'll talk about that. And it's a bit of a short video today, eh? But I think I'm going to wrap it up for now. And my next video is going to be a mishmash of a few topics that are somewhat related. It won't be completely chronological, but it'll make sense. And I look forward to continuing this. Thank you.